Okay, so this is programming week 2, and it's going to be our Java crash course. Okay, lesson plan for today. We're going to go over what Java is, variables, logical and mathematical operators, and then syntax and naming conventions.
Also, this is going to be pretty fast. All these resources are available on the Java documentation, on some of the other resources we've talked about in the first lesson, and this slideshow itself will be posted on, is on the FTC guidebook. So if any of you need to access that later, that is good. There's also going to be a quiz at the end of this lesson for you to take at home as part of your homework. And for the quiz that we ask that you pay attention in the lesson and then you take the quiz without using any other sources. That way we know if there's anything we need to cover again in the next class. I think that's everything out of the way, so we'll get started.
Yeah, okay. Oh, dang, I was going to ask something. Oh, well. So, what is Java? Java is a computer language, and obviously you can't talk to the computer. You can't type in sentences for what you want the computer to do. So you use Java. Java will tell your computer what to do specifically, so small errors will make a big difference. Yeah. Oh, Joshua, are you recording?
I am recording.
Yeah, okay.
So errors are things that are wrong with your code. There's two different types of errors in Java that we'll worry about now, compiling errors and runtime errors. Compiling errors happen when you build your program before you run it. So if that happens, then you know that your code has an error in it because like you missed a semicolon or you missed a bracket, something like that. A runtime error is when the program finds something that goes wrong while the program is running. So for instance, if a while loop is running and then something happens that breaks it because of it, like because of a number issue or something like that, or if there's a problem while you're running your code, like if you input a value that the code doesn't expect to see, that will create runtime errors.
So what is a variable? A variable stores a value. You can think of it kind of like a box or a basket. It'll store a value, a sentence, or a Boolean, and we'll go more over that. So you can. Why would you use a variable? You use a variable to repeatedly call on a value, or you could change a variable's value and use it in an equation. So variable types, we have the int, integer and long, double and float, Boolean, strings, and arrays. Integer and long are whole numbers. Double and float are numbers with a decimal. Booleans are true and false. Strings are sentences like hello world. And arrays is something that can store multiple variables, like a basket that has multiple baskets.
How to initialize variables. So there's a specific format that you want to follow when initializing variables, and you'll see that as the bolded line on the slide right now. So you might have a keyword in front of it, and some examples of that are public, private, and we'll explain what those do in the next tutorial. Then you'll have the type of variable that it is, for instance, an int, a long, a double, string, and that is basically what type of value it can store. And then you'll have the name of the variable and the value that the variable is storing.
So integers and long. There are no decimals, so it's a whole number. Integer can hold from around -2 million to 2 million. Long variables will have more storage. You might need to use that for robotics. If you try to divide an integer into something that doesn't make a whole number, your code will give you a rounded whole number. So make sure you keep that in mind. Now we're going to have some examples and practices. So
go onto the Pear Deck and respond to these practice questions, and we'll go over some of the responses. You can answer any of the questions you want, and then if you want to come up with your own that doesn't involve either one of those, then you can do that in the bottom too. And this is also, if you have any questions over this stuff, then you can post it in the chat, or you can write it in below your answers to the questions and we can get to those.
Okay. I'll wait a little more for everybody to get. Okay, so now I'm going to share some of your responses. It's all anonymous, so let's see. Int number equals 4. Int number is equal to that extremely long number. And then int num2 equals 5 and int num3 equals 6. So remember that integers can only hold from negative 2 million to 2 million. So this would have been a long. And we'll talk more about syntax, but normally we won't put numbers in your variable and never make your variable name just a number or have it start with a number. Okay, let's go down. For so we're not at strings yet, but because you put that in there, I will say that strings do need double quotations around them.
I think single quotations might work, but it's good syntax.
Yeah.
It's good proper form to use double quotations in Java.
Yep. And nice use of double and string. Man, don't go ahead of us.
It's fine.
It's good. Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
thing.
we didn't
Yes.
specify anything that fills in the blank works. So yeah, everybody
Yeah.
just remember that when you have long numbers, then you should always use a long value. You have numbers that are greater than 2 million.
Yeah. So
This won't be tested much, but there's a couple of instances last year that I remember using long values.
okay, so I'm gonna hide responses. On to the next. Doubles and floats. Josh.
Doubles and floats. They're similar to integers in that they also store numerical data. The difference between doubles and floats and integers and longs is the doubles and floats have decimal places. We don't need to know how much storage they store because we haven't ever run into a case where you need a double value that's longer than what it gives you. But if you end up needing more storage on a double value, then we can talk about that if that comes up. You should always use the double, but there will be a few things that require floats or that will give you float values in the FTC code. So you should be able to recognize a float variable if you see it.
Okay, so we're gonna have same thing. Put in your answers and see.
And remember, if you have questions over this, you can put them with your answers or you can put them in the chat. Or you
Yeah.
can unmute yourself and speak if you'd like to.
Let's get more people with their cameras on. Don't want to be talking to names. Okay. Now I'm gonna show responses. So this is good. So for this answer, you could use double and you could use int as this first example shows.
Remember your semicolons. The int I equals
Yeah.
3, 1. Yeah. And we might
Okay.
just have blanks, but it's better if you fill out the whole sentence. That way we know which one you're referring to.
Yep. Okay, I'm assuming this is right. Very nice. It seems like you all understand the concept.
Nice.
Yeah, and as shown here, you can use whole numbers with doubles, can be a whole number, or a number with a decimal in it. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Booleans are true or false values, and that's about it. So places you'll use a Boolean is things like if statements. So in robotic specific programming, if you have a controller and you want to know if, say, button A is being pressed, so there'll be, we'll go more into this, but with the knowledge you have right now, you'll be able to see if, say, you have a variable A press. So if A press equals true, you know that button A is being pressed. If A press is equal to false, button A is not pressed, and you can have your robot do specific things.
It's also proper format to name your booleans like you see here with the word is in front of the thing that you're asking the question. That way it's clear that it's a boolean value, and that is how you can ask it like a question like, is it good, for instance.
Yep. Okay.
If you want to follow along and post your answers in chat, and if you're not in the Pear Deck, then you're welcome to do that. The chat is not recorded, by the way.
Okay, so I'm going to show responses.
So var is what you would use in JavaScript, which is a different coding language. Var is just what they would use to define a general variable, because JavaScript doesn't have, you can use different variable types as the same variable and redefine it. But in Java, we use the name of the variable, the type of the variable in front instead of var.
Okay, this all looks good. Remember that Booleans are lowercase, so lowercase true, lowercase false.
And remember your semicolons.
Yeah, semicolons, and Boolean is a lowercase. I don't know if that autocorrects for you.
Cat is better.
So yeah, if Boolean is good, so remember that I think in if statements you should put parentheses around. I don't know if you can do
You
it
have to.
without. Yeah, you have
It
to.
looks like a JavaScript method of doing that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you use parentheses around it, and also the is good. You cannot have spaces in your name in your variable names,
Yeah,
because it
and
will.
there's a second curly bracket, but that is, or maybe I cut you off while you were writing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Strings.
Okay. Strings are objects, so they're not like the other variables that we've talked about so far, which means that you will have to do things a little bit differently with strings. You'll use a capital letter when initializing them. So you can see the word strings is supposed to be capitalized, whereas Boolean is lowercase and int is lowercase and stuff like that. The string is kind of like a sentence because it's words, and you can have spaces in the string value. You can store letters, and you can also have numbers and symbols in strings. You can have anything you want in a string. You might need, if the value needs certain characters, then there might be a problem with that, but we can talk if that's a problem for you. You'll put the value of your string in quotation mark, and an example of how a string would be defined is shown below. String s equals quotation marks hello world.
Okay, so some practice problems. Yeah. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I'm already liking these responses. Okay, let's start. I'll give you a minute. I'll show at 5. Okay, let's show. I'm gonna lock screens and show responses. Okay, string A equals good luck, semicolon, semicolon on Y, that looks good. Semicolons here, but everything else looks great. This is by far the best one I've
Yeah.
seen.
I
That
like
is
that one
trash.
a lot. Yeah, I can confirm.
Yeah, we can confirm. Okay,
That is true.
string high times 3. I can see that. Make sure to put your semicolons. This is good. This is
Remember double quotes, not single quotes. Single quotes might work, but
single quotes do work. It's just that when everybody is going to be doing the same thing, normally when
and
everybody is
start
going to be editing your code,
and to the one
remember.
at the bottom that you can see here, the I didn't finish one. Make sure you're starting off your variable names with lowercase letters instead
And
of
we
capital.
will go more over that in naming conventions toward the end of the slide. So everything looks great. Just some small syntax errors, but you guys understand it.
The concepts, yeah, and what's good about that is the small syntax errors. Android Studio will either autocorrect or there'll be errors that you can read on there. So it's important is that you understand the concepts so that's not exactly the formatting yet.
Okay, arrays. So arrays are going to be the most complex thing we'll be talking about today. Okay, so arrays are basically a list of values. So you'll have, think of a basket with multiple baskets where each smaller basket is a variable. An array will be a basket of variables, and there will only be one type of variable. We had a question that we had a question about whether you can use different types of variables in an array. So here's the format for defining an array, and we'll talk more about this in the next slide. So it'll be your type of array. So if you have a string array, you type in string. If you have an integer, you type in int. Then you're going to have your array name. So if you want names, you put in name. If you want dogs or cars or numbers, so that's your array name, and it's equal to your new, and you'll just put in new. Then your type of array, same as the first type of array, and then size of array in brackets. So the size of array cannot be changed in arrays. You'll just use, like, say if you want 3 numbers, you'll put in 3. If you want 5 numbers, you'll put in 5. And remember, you can't change this afterwards. And then another way to do it is you just do everything except without brackets, except without anything in the brackets. When you use for loop arrays, how do you make it so the first index isn't 1 in the loop?
So you could have it be like if or for I equals 0.
Okay, while he's solving that, I'm just going to go over this. For the second type, you're basically manually putting in each value for the array. And you can call a specific variable from the array, or a specific number from the array through index. Remember, index starts at 0. So
wait,
here's some practice.
Parth, can you
Wait,
go
does
back for a second?
anybody have any? Oh yeah, what is it?
I just wanted to
Does
talk
anybody
about a
have
few
any?
more things about arrays. So there's also in FTC code especially, there's going to be times where you don't know about the values that you're going to want in there or how big the array is going to be at the beginning of the code because you're going to get the information later in the code. So there's also a way to do it. So if you do type of array and then the array name equals, or no, you do type of array and the array name, then you put a semicolon, and then you put the array name equals that when you need it in your code. That way you can have the array at the beginning and you can use it throughout your code, but then you define the array later. Yeah, and then when you're calling the array, then I don't know if you mentioned this or not, you put the name of the array in the index, and then you do the code of that, and you treat that like a variable. So name of array in the index, you treat that like a variable.
Yeah, okay. Now we're going to go into practice problems. Let's get some responses. Wait until everybody's responded. Okay, we only have 5 people responding. Let's get some more people
It's
in.
okay if you don't know it, just take your
Yeah.
best guess. It's all anonymous.
Yep.
In fact, if you put something that you don't know, then that means that we know what you aren't getting, so we can go back to it. But if you just don't answer anything, then we don't know what you're struggling with.
Come on, we got 50% participation.
Well, out of the people who've joined the Pear Deck. Out of the people who've joined the Pear Deck.
Oh, yeah.
For the write an array here, yeah, you can write it with any of the 3 formats. So we put with the blanks, we put the 3 different formats, but then with the write an array here, we expect you to just choose one of them and then do it.
Let's get at least 10 out of 12 people. 2 more people.
We know this is very fast paced, so we're...
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can put it in as a response, or you can private.
Oh wait, 10 out of 12.
Yeah.
I'm one of the 12 Parth.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
That's fine. Then let's get 9. One more person.
One more person. And if nobody else does it, then somebody needs to join the Pear Deck and do it.
Okay. Okay. I guess, well, 2 people left. So,
One person.
no, 2 people.
I thought we said 9.
Yeah, no, like 2 people have disconnected from Pear Deck. That's okay. Let's show responses. It's getting slow. Okay. So this looks good. You don't need that second bracket. That's if you have that second bracket, you're using a 2D array, and you need a second bracket
Wait,
over
no, I
here.
think that they meant to put the curly braces there.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah, so you don't, if you want to do curly braces, then you put the actual values in there, and then you don't need the number inside of the first one. But if you're not going to, then you can just not, you don't need the second bracket at all.
yeah, okay. For this second one, you have the first part right. Remember that you need new, and then or actually, you don't put array. You put int or string. So in this case, you'd put int. Don't put array. So it would be int, then your brackets numbers equals, and then new int, and then all of your numbers in that bracket.
into array numbers.
So
Equals.
yeah, and then equals new. Int, and then everything in,
And then everything goes into the, yeah.
in curly brackets. You have empty brackets and then everything in curly brackets.
Although if you wanted to
Yeah.
do, yeah, if you wanted to do the number, yeah, that works. And then this one, you need it to look like the top one. But yeah, you got it.
That's good. This is good. I see people are correcting themselves. That's good learning. Okay. This is now completely correct.
Yep.
Okay, so
Wait, Parth,
yes.
that one.
Oh, sorry, did I skip something?
No, that's one right here. The one that your cursor is just on. Yeah, that
This
one.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, this was correct. Numbers equals new int. Yes, this is how you do it. That means that you have 5 empty spaces to put some integers in. String words equals new string. For this, you're gonna need to have empty brackets, as you see in this top one right here. Empty brackets, and then in curly braces you put high. Other than that, that is correct. Int numbers. So you can't use str, or I'm not aware of it.
It
So
doesn't
make
work.
sure that is, yeah, make sure that you use string, and then also make sure that these brackets are curly braces, have new string before this bracket, and put in empty brackets before
The one
this.
above is a perfect example of how to do it for
Yeah,
anyone who's still not sure. And then there,
and these two as well. These are good examples.
that's good. You set the one in number 7. That's a good example of how to do that. But then there's, yeah, then
Yes,
there's the,
this does work. But also remember that if you're trying to change this integer, um, make sure to take out that one, because otherwise these names are not the same.
I think it's referring to the top one,
Oh, the top.
which the names
Yes,
are
I
the
didn't
same.
see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing here. The
Okay.
array, you want it to say int instead of array, and you need the brackets to be
Curly
separate and
brace.
curly braces. You'll learn
Okay,
this
so
with
I'm
time.
gonna go back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go back to this slide. So most of the problems are with this specific. Can you see my cursor? I think so. But it's with this specific bracket. So remember that if you're putting in your values manually, you put them in here. These curly braces, and that these brackets, these square brackets, will be empty. So square brackets are size, and then you don't put curly braces, or their square brackets are empty, and then you put in everything for those curly braces.
I think most people got it.
Yeah, I think you guys understand it much better. Now we're going to go on to the next topic.
Parth?
So, oh, well, okay. So null, the value of null is nothing. It's not zero. It's not like negative infinity or anything like that. It's not any number, not any value for a string. It's just nothing, right? So you can't add null or anything like that. Let's go to the next one.
There are some more practice problems. So here we have a name of the variable, and we want you to put in the type of variable that would best match that and a value that. For the second one, the number starts in galaxies. You don't actually have to know, but the point is just that it's a very large number, and you can put in a very large number if you want to. I looked it up, numbers in the billions, I believe.
So what do you put at the starting? Well, you're going to put the type of variable that is. So it can be an int, it could be a string, it could be a long, it could be a double, it could be a float, whatever you think fits for that specific name of a variable.
There's 100,000 million stars. Okay, I wasn't even close to the billion. Okay.
Okay, let's get more responses, more people. Come on, more participation, por favor. Okay, I'm gonna show responses and we'll go over these. Like, actually, I think people are still doing everything. I only saw a few that have gotten done. Let's wait a little longer.
We have 15 minutes left, Parth.
Yeah, let's start. I think there's.
And we're on slide 19 out of, oh yeah, we're pretty close.
Yeah, we're really close.
Out of 26.
Okay. I'm gonna give you 15 more seconds and then we're gonna show responses. You know, some people are finishing up.
I think you can show responses while they're working on it.
Yeah, that's okay. String days and week is equal to new string 7. Okay, that's good.
7 should be in quotation marks. We were planning on you putting an int there, but if you want to use the
7
string,
doesn't have to be in quotation marks. That's the number of. Yeah, that's the number of.
You can put a string not in quotation marks.
No. Joshua, this is the number of.
Oh, values. Oh, my
yeah,
God.
number of values.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I looked at that wrong.
Okay, in number stars in galaxy. Remember that an integer cannot hold this much, information. So that would be long, but otherwise, good job. String name question. The second quotation mark, but otherwise, very good. Boolean is fun equals false.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah. Double math grade as percent, negative 1.0. I can see that.
String array. Yep.
Yeah.
There's
This
a
works.
lot of fruits.
Yeah. Very good. Int days in a week, 7. That's good. Long. That's right. And also remember, you cannot put commas in there. I know you probably put those in so that we could read it, but
When you're actually
we
programming,
also,
don't use commas.
yeah, you don't use commas. String name is equal to an empty string. That's good. Boolean is fun is equal to true. Thank you. It's getting a little worried there.
0.98. That's good.
Yeah, it's a good grade. Okay, string fruits, new string. This is correct.
Yes.
Though I don't know if you only know 2 fruits or do you know multiple. I'm not sure, but
I'm assuming they know more than 2 fruits.
I don't know about that one. Okay, string days and week. This also works. Very nice. But remember that you need new string, and then if you're gonna do this, put your parentheses as curly brackets, and before your curly brackets, and after string, put an empty square bracket. Remember that integers are
Lowercase.
Yeah, string is capital, integers lowercase. Number of stars in galaxy equals 21.
You need semicolon. Remember your
Yes,
semicolon.
semicolon. Okay, we know we're probably like, you probably think we're getting on you too much, but
Yeah.
remember that if you don't do this right, then Java doesn't like you. And we want Java to like you. Okay, string name Ishan, very nice.
Remember,
Boolean
cat should
cat
be
is,
lowercase. I know
yeah,
it's capital in real life, but just good naming convention would be to keep it lowercase. Or
yeah.
to write it out, write out the words.
I don't know what CAD stands for, so to be CAD.
I
And
think
then
it's
remember
computer
I,
assisted designing or something like
yeah,
that.
and then I is
Yeah.
capital. Yeah, okay, you fix those
Yeah.
quotation
Yep.
marks. Is good. Float math grade is percent, 90.0. That is good.
And your string array name equals Ishan, you should have the array there. Oh, wait, no, it's just string name. Wait, what? Oh,
No,
yeah.
wait, yeah, it is array.
Array.
You can just take out those brackets.
You can take out the brackets. You just need string name equals
Yeah,
my name
because,
isn't Ishan,
but if you want an array for that, then make sure you put everything you did on that first one before,
including
you
your
know,
semicolons.
yeah, and make sure those are curly brackets. Okay, next one. Int days and week equals 7. Correct. Long. Okay, that's long.
That is
String
long.
name. That is correct. Won't tell you. Okay, Boolean is fun. False. Remember, F is lowercase and your semicolon. Double math grade 99.9. I see you. Um,
I see your
I don't
comment.
like fruits. Just kidding. Okay.
That's
Good
fine.
comment, by the way. We haven't gone over that, but that is how you comment 2 backslashes. Int days and week long. This could your long could also be an int, but long works in this case as well. String name pranav, that works. Bool, so you can't use bool. It's just boolean. You have to type it out. I know that's a
I think Python might be bool or something like
yeah.
that.
I'm pretty sure that's Python. So if you know Python, you know
Computer
Java.
assisted.
It's just a little different. And remember, true T is lowercase. Float math grade is percent 100. That works. Good, good. String name Bob. I like your name. I like everything you're doing, Bob. Boolean is fun. True.
We have 9
String.
minutes. Parth,
Okay, let's skip this. Sorry, I didn't go over all of yours, but hopefully you saw us correcting other people and that helped you. So you can do math in Java. So you can write a statement like, if you have a variable numbers, you could say numbers is equal to 1 plus 1. What is numbers equal to in the end? 2. Or numbers is equal to 1 minus 1. What is numbers equal to in the end? 0. 1 times 1, 1. 1 divided by 1, 1. And then this percent sign is a modulus. So it's, for an example, if you had 10 divided by 2, you would get 5. But if you have 10 mod 2, you get 0 because there's no remainder from 10 divided by 2. If you do 11 divided by 2, you'll get a mod 1. So 10 mod 2 is 1. Shortcuts. So if you have a variable equals variable plus minus multiply divide mod by another number, you can use these shortcuts. So plus equals is numbers equals numbers plus 1. That'll be numbers plus equals 1. Numbers equals numbers minus 1. Numbers minus equals 1, and then so on and so forth. And then increments and decrements. This, if you want to add 1 to your variable, you can do numbers plus plus or numbers minus minus for taking away 1. And that works for ints and doubles and floats and longs, but you know, those. Okay, so now a question. If int I is equal to 4 and I is equal to I divided by 3, and you return I, so return just means you output I, what is returned? What do you get? That is the question. I should put a prompt here.
it's fine. Parth, we have 7 minutes.
Yeah. So just put it in chat.
Put
Let's
it in
hear.
chat or unmute to speak.
Please unmute. I haven't heard anybody's voices for ever. I will start calling on people.
We want 3 more people to post what they think will happen in the chat.
Oh, you can't unmute yourself? Oh, okay. Well, that's not. Okay, try it now.
Is it 4/3?
Okay, so that's one answer.
Error. is another
Error
answer.
is another answer. 1 is an answer. Let's get some more. Priyanka. 1.3, 1.3. Priyanka, could you say? Priyanka, Amir. Oh, Amir.
I know
Okay.
an answer.
No, Ishan, don't ruin it. Don't stop.
Ishan isn't allowed to. So, okay, there's a lot of
Yeah.
answers here, and we don't have a lot of time. You're right. Ints cannot have decimals. So what it will do is it will take the number and it will format it in a way that it can understand. So
Yeah.
the answer would mathematically be 4/3, but as soon as the program sees that you're assigning the value of 4/3 to an integer, it would change it into just 1. So the answer would be 1. It would return 1. But yes, the error is the right train of thought.
Yeah, this is good. Okay, next.
It always rounds down. It doesn't round, it more just cuts off what's behind the decimal point. It ignores anything behind the decimal point.
Okay, so try to use variables to solve these things. You don't have. It doesn't have to be correct. Syntax is correct, but we will tell you if your syntax is wrong.
We're gonna give you 3 minutes to do this one.
Yeah. So try to make it so that no matter what numbers you have on these questions, it will work. I also should have put a prompt here, but I have forgotten. So
Actually, do you want to let's just go over these because we really don't have time.
yeah. Okay. So one tree has 3 apples, another has 4. Write a code for the total number of apples. You'll have a variable for the total number of apples, a variable for tree 1 and tree 2. You'll input each tree's apples, and then your final variable will be tree 1 plus tree 2. 95 on the test. Josh, you want to go over this one?
Yeah, so if you have 95 on a test and 100 on a daily grade, then you can represent those with the double as 0.95 and 1. So if daily grades are worth 20%, then you multiply the 0.95 by 0.2, and you multiply the 1 by 0.8, and then you add the number together to find the average.
Okay. A restaurant has 3 empty tables. One can serve 5 customers. 18 customers walk in the door. How many will not be seated? Josh, you also want to go over this?
Yeah, so this is what we'll use modulus for. This is an example. The better type of question wouldn't say how many empty tables. It would say that it just seats tables of 5 and would see how many customers don't sit at a full table. This is how you should think about modulus. The answer, it would return 3 because there are 3 people remaining after they divide up into the 3 tables. So remember that the modulus returns the remainder. So the way that you would write it would be you just define variables for the number of people at the table and the number of customers, and then you do number of customers mod number of people at the table to get your answer.
Yep. Okay. Next slide. Logical comparisons.
Logical comparison. You can calculate logical equations in Java just like math equations. The symbols that you see on the second line are the not symbol, the and symbol, and the or symbol, which are used to calculate Boolean values based on given values. So for instance, if Boolean A is true and Boolean B is true, then Boolean C is Boolean A and Boolean B, then Boolean C would be true. There are also comparison operators, which are not equals, 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 less than equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or greater than. And what those do is those see if the values are equal to them or not equal. So they compare them, and they will return a Boolean value based on whether or not that statement is true. Dot equals is similar to that for a string, but dot equals is a little bit different because strings are, as we said earlier, objects. So we would check if the string is the same as the other string, if the value of the string is the same as the other string. And that.
Okay. Yeah, 1 sec. Okay, so practice. I hope. Oh my God, you can't. Okay. So, practice. Boolean is cool. So just type this in chat, I guess. Or how about this? I'll call on somebody and ask them to unmute. Remember that for these last two, or for these, so Boolean is not cool, Boolean is cool, and is not cool, Boolean is cool, or is not cool. Use the variables to do this. So Kevin, please unmute. with this? With the answer to Boolean is cool.
True.
Okay. Pranav, Boolean is not cool.
False.
Okay, try. That's right. Try to use it with the with using is cool by using Boolean is cool. So how would
You
you?
can type it out.
Yeah, you can. So I'll go back to this logical comparisons. Remember, this is not, this is and this is or. So not flips your flips true to false. So if you say not yes, it'll become no. So if yes is true, you say not yes, it's false. Does that help a little?
I think it helped a lot, Parth.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic. Okay.
No, I mean, like, you pretty much just said the answer out loud.
Nah, dude. It's fine if you don't get this. Joshua will explain this one. Joshua.
Okay, so the answer I'm posting in chat right now is you do exclamation mark is cool. So it would take the value of is cool and it would plug it into, it would use the exclamation mark not. So the is not cool would be not the answer of is cool, which is how it works regularly, like in just English. And the reason you do that instead of hard coding value is if you ever want to change what cool is, then it automatically changes what not cool is based off that.
Okay, do you understand that or like?
I got that.
Okay, good. Let's see who's next in my list. Alan.
Okay, answer
Boolean.
it similar. Answer it in terms of cool
Yeah.
and not cool instead
So-
of just the answer.
How would you answer Boolean is cool and is not cool? Alan. So that is correct, but remember that we want you to use the variables is cool and is not cool. So try to make it with these logical expressions. You can put in chat if you don't know how to say it, but it's kind of like,
It's easier to type than to say.
yeah, it is easier to type and say. Like how Joshua put not, yeah.
Is cool.
Y-
You
yes.
need two and.
Otherwise, that
for
is
Java.
correct.
Yeah.
Also semicolon, but this is correct. Okay. Now, Priyanka, Boolean is cool or is not cool. How would you write that using variables? I don't know if Priyanka is here. Put in chat if.
Hi.
Okay. How would you do Boolean? Okay.
I'm not really sure.
Yes, the returns values would be false and then true. It would return true because the values are. I'll write it out in the
Oh wait.
chat.
So
Can I do it?
yeah. Wait. So Pranav, could you unmute and explain? Because do you mean that is cool? It would just return true and.
It is cool and is not cool. So the is cool would return true and the is not cool.
So the way that you can think of it is if a value is true and then a value is false and you say true and false, so think of it like what grade are you in?
9.
Okay, so you're in 9th and you're in 10th, right? So that's false. So it think of it, can it be cool and not cool at the same time? It'll be false, right?
Yeah.
And then for Boolean is cool or is not cool, it has to be cool or not cool, right? It can't be anything in between, so it'd be true. So for ors, if one is true, the entire statement is true. For ands, both have to be true in order for the statement to be true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody unmute and give me an example of an integer for J. Anyone?
I'll do it, Parth.
Okay.
4.
Okay, 4. So some another person unmute. Boolean k equals I equals j. Is that true or false? Or even 5? So would that be true or false? What do you think?
False.
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Because 3
There-
does not equal
Yeah,
5.
3 doesn't equal 4 or 5. We had a question yesterday. What is equals equals equals? So that's 3 equals. So equals equals equals, and I put that in chat. That compares different types of variables. So if you have int I and int j, no matter what their values, they will be equal to each other with the triple equals because they're both ints. You probably won't have to use that ever, just tidbit of information.
Wait, Java doesn't actually have the equals equals equals.
Oh, it doesn't?
I think that's JavaScript that you're thinking of.
Oh, okay. Well, then I was wrong. That's okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go briefly through what these symbols are. There's a semicolon, which you put at the end of each line, which signals the end of the statement. There's parentheses, which you use to put parameters in, or you can group together stuff for operations. Parameters are basically like things that you input into a function. For instance, if there's a function that asks you what the name is, a parameter would be what the name is. There's curly brackets, which are used to group together certain groups of code, which are like functions or classes or objects. We'll talk about those tomorrow, or next block, not tomorrow. There's the double slash, which is used for a single line comment, which comments out that line, and then the code skips over that line and doesn't read it. There's a star, a slash star, and the star slash, which is used for multi-line comments, and that makes it so that anything within those groups does not get read. Parentheses are used for string values or literal text. An array, the brackets are used for arrays, and the greater than and less than signs are used to talk about the type of object that is in there. So for instance, if there's a string in there, then that means that that is using a string, and that is applying that to the type of object. It's a little bit confusing now, but we'll use an example of that next time.
Okay. Next slide. Naming conventions. So variables will have lowercase. First word will be lowercase. Second word will be capital. For the first letter of the second word, and the same thing for the third word and fourth word. Methods, same thing as variables. Classes and objects, you capitalize the beginning of each word. Packages, all lowercase, and final variables, all uppercase.